But back to our top story now. As you've heard, the High Court in Pietermaritzburg will hear former President Jacob Zuma's application to have Senior Prosecutor Billy Downer recused from his corruption case. Zuma is arguing that Downer lacks independence and impartiality, while the former president and French arms manufacturer Thalys are on trial over the controversial multi-billion rand arms deal. But for more analysis on this, we're joined by legal expert Ulrich Roux. Mr. Roux, thank you for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you. It seems the former president's legal team have now added more to their scope now, saying that Billy Downer has sort of leaked the former president's medical, certificate. That's quite confidential. It's an invasion of his privacy. Do they have a case here to argue come 10 a.m. this morning?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, so the only way in which an application for the recusal of Billy Downer could be successful is if Jacob Zuma's legal team can prove that he is not impartial, he's not objective, and he does not accord with the ethos of the National Prosecuting Authority and the National Prosecuting Authority Act, which states clearly that a person cannot be persecuted, but should rather only be prosecuted based on the evidence available to the NPA. So if their application can demonstrate that Billy Downer is so-called persecuting Jacob Zuma at all costs, so in other words, he's not objectively analyzing and using the objective evidence available to the NPA, but rather he's going out of his way to prosecute him and obtain a successful prosecution at all costs, then the application will be successful. But one will have to wait and see what evidence they adduce today to show that Mr. Downer is not impartial and objective in the prosecution of Jacob Zuma.
Right. And with that being said, then, with the NPA and Mr. Billy Downer, what work lies ahead for them in terms of, counter-arguing today? What would they need to prove to Judge Kuhn?
Well, I think, the strongest argument is that Billy Downer was involved in the prosecution of Mr. Shabir Shaik. Now, that is obviously very intricately entwined in the prosecution of Jacob Zuma as well. And essentially, the two matters are based on the same evidence and the same modus operandi and the corruption that allegedly took place there pertaining to Jacob Zuma, but obviously Shabir Shaik was convicted of that charge, so one can adduce that the court found that the evidence adduced against him was beyond a reasonable doubt. But I think that what the NPA is going to argue is that, Billy Downer is very well versed with this matter. He has all the intricate knowledge of it. He has come with this matter a very long way. He's a very seasoned prosecutor. He was head of the Commercial Crimes Division in the Western Cape for long, and he still holds that position. And he's a prosecutor with a wealth of experience. And it's clear, that once again Jacob Zuma, I think they're going to argue, is simply trying to delay matters, simply trying to prolong the inevitable. They have launched every single interlocutory application imaginable to avoid this trial from starting, and I think that that's going to be what they're going to argue again today. If they are of the firm belief that there is no evidence showing that Billy Downer is not objective in the prosecution of Jacob Zuma, and that he has done nothing which precludes him from prosecuting this matter. So I think that would be their strongest point to argue, is that this once again is an attempted delay tactic by Mr. Zuma, and that Billy Downer has all the knowledge of this matter, and he is, in the NPA's eyes, the perfect prosecutor who should be dealing with this matter.
Yeah, and I suppose with that being said, the delay tactics have the whole country gripped to this case, hoping it comes to an end once and for all. And I suppose my question to you then is that then what lies ahead in terms of, Judge Kuhn's, responsibility and the work that lies ahead of him? Can we expect another delay, another postponement, as we've seen previously with this case?
Well, just as the community and the NPA have rights before criminal court, so an accused person also has. So, Jacob Zuma, he does have a right to a fair and a speedy trial. And if he can show to the court today that Billy Downer's prosecution of him infringes upon his right to a fair trial, then he would be successful in his application, and Judge Kuhn would have to order that Billy Downer is replaced with a different prosecutor. That in itself would obviously carry tremendous delays in the matter and the finalization of the matter, because a new prosecutor would have to become well versed with all of the evidence, with all of the witnesses, and with the entire state's case, which they intend to prove against Mr. Zuma. And this dates back to 1999, when this alleged corruption took place. On the other hand, if Judge Kuhn finds that this application is a frivolous one, it has no merits, and it cannot succeed, that there's absolutely no evidence showing that Billy Downer is not an impartial and objective prosecutor, then he will order that the application is dismissed and that the matter proceed as set down previously. Having said that, this matter has been set down for trial, I think 3 or 4 times already, and every time prior to the trial commencing, there's just another new development or another new application launched by Jacob Zuma, so one would have to wait and see when it actually does proceed to trial. But theoretically, the state have confirmed on numerous occasions on record that they are ready to proceed. Their evidence is correct, their docket is correct, their investigations have been finalized, their witnesses are ready and available to testify, so they are ready to go on trial. And we will have to wait and see, should this application be dismissed, whether Mr. Zuma comes up with another application to try and delay matters.
All right, we'll have to wait for 10 a.m., I suppose, when those proceedings do take place. But thank you so much for speaking to me. Ulrich Roux, just analysing with us there, of course, some legalities and what to expect, especially with some legal context to help us.